Well, hey, everybody. Monkey Puzzle here, and welcome to episode number 6, playing on our IronMine clustered servers. I am here on the island where I left you last. We're going to zoom out a little bit in the new Forge Keep Community Center on the blue Obelisk right here on the island. And it's time now that this thing is built to actually put it to use for what it was made for, because this whole thing was just to get me metal and crystal and such, so that we have quick access to those things for whatever we need. But namely right now, I wanted to make a pen in order to do some Rex breeding over on Ragnarok, so we can get ready for some boss fights. So this was sort of a step in that direction, in kind of my usual manner of over preparing. But anyway, yeah, now I've got access to lots of metal, so it's time to do that. First thing I'm going to do with the metal and crystal is make windows and doors, glass doors, to put in all these holes. Something that I meant to mention last time, and I'm real happy that out here, all the resources have spawned back right up to the front door here. That crystal there, and that obsidian, and that metal. So there was no loss of resources from putting this stuff here. And so now I just got to start harvesting. I'm going to get a bunch of crystal and a bunch of metal, get it all smelted up in the forge. And then I'll probably, after I'm done making the windows and doors for this place, for the stuff I need elsewhere, I'm going to make parts rather than exporting the actual materials, because that way I'll just have to transfer a lot less. The transfer with the obelisk can be a little bit buggy. If you bring too much stuff over, you can get this buffer overflow error that then prevents you from, or could make you crash, basically, when you're transferring servers. So I want to avoid that. I always try to back up before we do major transfers anyway. But yeah, I am just going to put this Anki to use, put this forge to use, and make some stuff. I went ahead and I brought a whole bunch of Acatina paste here from my my little garden island, so over on Ragnarok. So I've got all this, and let's see, in here, got all this. So quite a bit of, I guess I can't quite say cementing paste, but what will serve as cementing paste. I also put some water in here so we can drink. I've got 3 water tanks. They're kind of embedded in the foundations, but it seems to be working fine. So yeah, now there's water up here every time it snows, and that's all good. So I've got some work to do. I'm going to go ahead and do that, but just want to bring you in from the start. See ya when I've got some stuff done. Alright, it's actually a couple days later. I've been grinding in between other things in real life. I come up here and get a bunch of crystal and a bunch of metal, and I have been making a bunch of stuff. So way down at the bottom here, here's some of it. I've made some behemoth gates, and, well, yeah, the gateways, and then the accompanying gates right there, and a few doors, and some glass walls, and then a whole bunch of these large glass walls, which use quite a bit of resources to make. I got a bunch on the Anki here as well. And then back at the site on Ragnarok, I'll show you there in a minute, I've been going ahead and putting down metal fence foundations, or supports, I guess, the S plus type, and getting the area kind of walled out. So I'm going to get all this stuff over into the terminal, and then I will bring you guys over to Ragnarok and show you where I'm at with that. Alrighty, back here on Ragnarok, and you can see how I have been using the fence supports to kind of seal off the sides of this area, trying to use the least fencing possible. I may put some on the back cliff area, but we'll see. I'm going to do this first. We'll take a ride to the other end so you can see the whole thing real quick. But I'm just going to go ahead and use some behemoth gates now on both ends. I've kind of left an opening where I'd like them to go. I was wondering if they'd snap, and it seems like they will. So that's very cool. We got that. So let's go ahead now and just put this down right there. And of course, you got to switch it to manual right away. Let's do that. And the rest of it, I'm just going to use these 4 high walls and see if I can do that. I think 4 high should be enough to keep out of Giga. But right here, it actually won't go down further. So maybe it has to be 5 high, which is probably all for the better. Just use up a few more materials. And then once I get my visibility tool, I can go ahead and make those fence supports disappear. And I may decide to fancy it up later. We'll use the model tool to hide those crossbars there too. I can just put that up there. But just a real basic fencing. I mean, I guess it's not basic because it's Structures Plus glass, which is as strong as metal. But I kind of like the look of it, and it just doesn't block the view the same way that a big stone wall would. So yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and finish getting this area fenced off. I am still debating, like I said, if I'm going to put a fence all the way along this back edge here. Once I get that edge and this edge fenced off with the gate, then I don't think a Giga can spawn in here, but maybe something small would. But something small wouldn't necessarily attack the Rexes and lead them all running after it off the cliff, so probably don't need to. It's going to be hard too because it doesn't really have a straight edge. It's all lumpy. But over here, yeah, I got a saber. One of the annoying things that could get in here, I guess if a saber attacked a player, then all the Rexes could go running after it. But anyway, over here is where I have decided to go ahead and put the other fence and the gate. So that will go there. And there does seem to be an area right here with almost a ramp to go down to here. I was able to walk up it with a dino, although it's pretty jagged. So I probably don't need to gate this off from the top. I don't think anything actually spawns on that rock down there anyway. And I could put just some foundations throughout here to keep things from spawning. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure, but at least I'm getting the sides walled off for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish that. I'm going to take that to where I'm going to take it to. And then I'm going to start organizing the Rexes and thinking a little bit about the breeding. So I will check in with you about that later on. All right, got that done. It took a few trips back to the island just to get the right number of parts. And that was kind of the most interesting part about this build, was just going between servers to do it, going straight to a metal gathering spot right from here, and then, importing the materials back. I got a door on the side here so people can go in and out without opening those giant ones. And I played with sloped walls a little bit, trying to just add a little interest to these staggered bits. Not quite sure if it works. I kind of wish this slope wall had a bigger metal edge that matched the other parts better, but it is what it is. So that's that. Put a little piece on each side of the gate, trying to give it a little interest there too. I'm realizing after the fact I probably should have used the new dynamic gates, make it fit in here a little bit, but as we're keeping Gigas out, it doesn't hurt to have it tall. I'm not sure if they had the glass tier in the dynamic gates or not. I don't remember. I have to go back and look. Anyway, that is that side. Let me show you the other side. Oh, by the way, we've got a little platform, a tree platform right here, as another place for people to put their tames and stuff and put a bed going back and forth to the green obelisk. And then they see on this side, I've put the other one in. And actually from above, I thought they were sort of opposite each other, but it turns out it's kind of a square shape. And I decided to leave this edge open. It just looks so cool like that. And it would be such a high piece count to put in there that would create lag for people. So we'll see if we can manage like this. It's a nice view. And I like the precariousness of it. And if the Rexes go over the edge, they should be able to defend themselves. Ooh, look, an egg. I've actually got some lamb chops on me, but before when I didn't have any food here, I was actually using these as a way to feed myself. Yum, yum, yum. Quite lavish, but it worked out pretty well. Yeah, so this is what this side looks like. Played with the slopes, got doors. So hopefully that will be effective at keeping any gigas out. I think it should. And then just a couple other notes here is that Bison, I think it was Bison because he was the one talking about it, left a whole bunch of Journeyman Rex saddles here. So he actually went to the island to get those because they're quite missing apparently in the drops here on Ragnarok. So we've got a bunch of decent level saddles ready to go when we want to try taking these guys out to a boss fight. And then, let me see, we got a couple boars that looks like rim tusks left here. And there are a couple places that you can actually climb all the way up here, up this slope. And I just went all the way back to Aberration, actually, so that I could go ahead and make a cliff platform. I love those things. I seem to use them in every single build now. It's a little hard to get up right there, but you can just do it. And I thought maybe up here someplace we need a cliff platform. And there's a limited amount of places it seems I can put it. What happens if I put it right there? That block off being able to get up here? No, it didn't. So that's cool. So we could actually make a little outpost up here as a place, a little little base that's adjunct to the Rex breeding area, or just a platform to be a lookout looking for high level gigas and such. Apparently in the patch that just released, they nerfed the glider suit. So I'm pretty upset about that. We don't have it yet on the server, but the next 1.4 something, 0.5 something, I forget the exact number. The speed of the glider has been reduced 40%, and there is a 10% cooldown between glides. So it's all meant to balance PvP, which is annoying for PvE. I really think they need to separate the two into configs, because right now I'd still only be at about 5 seconds, and I wouldn't be able to fly again. Or if you mess up your takeoff and you need to press space again, that wouldn't work. You would just die and hit the ground. So, and there's some other things about taking damage and damage being transferred to your wings and projectiles hurt you more. That doesn't bother me so much. In some cases, the speed of them being slowed down, I wouldn't mind, because sometimes they do seem to go pretty fast. But otherwise, especially the 10-second cooldown, I wish they'd at least give us an I option so we could change that in configs, because these are so much fun. PvE is always taking our toys away. All right. So that's a little pre-nerf rant right there about the glider suit. And so next thing is I'm going to need to set to actually doing some breeding here. I've done just a rough sorting out of the Rexes that were here. And these are the ones that their stats are not remarkable compared to the rest. These are all pretty high level. I'll turn this on right now, actually, so you can see the numbers. And so they're not terrible. They're all pretty high level, but they just did not have the highest ones. And then over here, they start to get decent. Let me see these guys. If I can look in them. There we go. They start to have pretty decent melee and pretty decent health, getting towards 10,000. We're into the 9,000s and the upper 300s here. And then let me see this one. Check it out. It's got lower melee, but higher health, almost 10,000. And then these guys are a little bit of the best of both worlds. We got the 9,900, the 384. And these are all mostly just wild tames here. This one gets all the way up to 10,000, with a little lower melee. Seems to always go that way, the way the stats distribute. And then these guys over here. Oops. Whoa. All right, let me get back over here. These guys, pretty decent health. And I think this is the best melee I got on my own right there. That's a 424 so far. But, I've only done a little bit of breeding, fair amount of taming. This one had 401 melee. I think Billy Bob and Rimtusk contributed that. And then over here, these are going to be hard to match. I guess we're going to be working from these guys. Bison brought these over, and he has been doing a whole bunch of Rex breeding already. And got the nice colors there, obviously. He's got some really outrageous stats here. We got health up into the 11,000s and melee into the 500s, 516. I think these are all pretty much there. Yeah, and they are not bad. They have 1 or 2 mutations each, but the mutations are not filled up at all, so pretty good practice there. We don't have a 0 mutation to breed them back to. Might be able to do it with that, but those are a really good start. In fact, we might just be done before I even start. Yeah, that's pretty good stats. Oh yeah, and one other little side note is that I was going to start using the Ark Smart Breeding app in this episode, using it to capture the stats of the dinos here, but I couldn't get it to work. So couldn't show you that because I couldn't make it work myself. So if you all have tips on extracting the stats from the dinos using the Ark Smart Breeding app, please let me know, because it would save me a lot of work making little folders in their inventory and being able to compare them easily. I'm not the kind of guy who would transfer things over to an Excel sheet and all of that. That's just not going to happen in my video games. It's hard enough to do that in my real life. All right. Anyway, back to what I was saying before. Yeah, we're going to sort this out. We'll make little breeding areas, some hitching posts and stuff like that. I did bring a nanny over, I thought. Yep, got her. So she's going to be part of it too. Because, we're not going to bother trying to manually imprint every one of these. We've let go of that a long time ago. But what I do need is some honey for her to make her work. Eventually, we'll have the tech generator that will power her. But I brought necessity over here, and there was the new TLC thing that happened. I can't see your face with that in front of you. Let's do that. Yeah. And so they look different. They're definitely fuzzier, fuzzy wuzzy bears. Yep. And from the back, actually, or not from the back, but from farther away, I actually think the new hair modeling makes them look a little blurry. But when you get close, I like them. Their face was always a little dissatisfying before. I think this is good. Although, critically, I think it might have taken a little personality away from them too. They look a little bit more generic at this point, but they do look nice. They look like they'd be good to cuddle with because they're so furry. But I'm going to use this bear and test its new abilities for honey gathering. But I think I'm going to do that in a separate episode so it doesn't get buried at the end of this one. So I think that may make this episode a little bit short, especially compared to my average. But I'm going to start recording right away again with getting some honey with this, with Necessity, who still is not the mother of invention yet, but it will be happening. Although now that our levels are increased, this one is not as high as you can get at all. So anyway, that is a start now on our Rex Breeding Pen, just adjacent to the green obby, so we can use this to take them to the boss fights. We still got a lot of work to do. I got to do all the caves and such to get the artifacts. I got to actually take an inventory of all the artifacts I already have and then go look over there and see the ones that I need. But we will be getting to the boss fights within, a few weeks probably. Once we've got this all set to go, it won't take long now to get a bunch of good Rexes. And we could even take these ones that aren't the best and just level them up and use them as sort of cannon fodder for the bosses. Anyway, we'll see. But making progress towards that. And yeah, eventually I'll have tech transmitters and not have to wait for drops like the bus. But for now, this is Monkey Puzzle. I'm going to sign out. Thank you for watching until the end of this relatively short episode for you, but actually pretty long for me in the amount of time it took to make that base, the forge base up at the blue obelisk on the island to get the metal, and then the time actually spent getting the metal and crafting the parts and the crystal and all that stuff. But I'm going to leave it off for here. Thank you again for watching until the end of this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Boop.